Hello world, and my name is Nicholas Zawel. I'm here with another video of Crash Course History. Now to begin with Egypt. The ancient Egyptians were the pioneers of civilization living. They also pioneered engineering. The ancient Egyptians built huge pyramids and revolutionary dams that helped them use the river as a way of transportation. The Egyptians, much like Chinese, were pioneers for building and creating a civilization. The Egyptians also developed the first form of transportation, the chariot. The ancient, strongest civilization at the time, they struggled with famine and civil war, and flooding would ruin their cities. The ancient Egyptians and Chinese both revolutionized engineering and building. They both also ruled for thousands of years, also remarkably illiterate. They had two forms of writing, hieroglyphics for sacred writing, and then demotic script for recording contracts. And now we'll be moving on to ancient India. The cities in the Indus Valley were well organized and solidly built out of brick and stone. Their drainage systems, wells, and water storage were the most sophisticated in the ancient world. One struggle of ancient India was the untouchables. The untouchables did the jobs that members of the caste system wouldn't.
Unfortunately, Nick could not read the script, so I'm filling in for him. The untouchables did the job that the members of the caste system wouldn't, and they were born into the class and had to stay there for life with little opportunity for improvement.
China popularized through trade along the Silk Road from China to the rest of the world. The Romans and the Greeks knew the country as Ceres, the land where silk comes from. The trade along the Silk Road was a major success for Chinese. It provided income, new materials, and new ideas and inventions. The Silk Road was a major advantage to the Chinese and helped China grow to a large empire. The rich take advantage of the poor according to custom. A family's land was divided equally among all of the father's male heirs. Unless a farmer could afford to buy more land during his lifetime, each generation inherited smaller plots. With such small plots of land, farmers had a hard time raising enough food to sell or even to feed the family. Because of this, small farmers often went into debt and had to borrow money from large landowners. If the farmer couldn't pay back the debt, the landowner took possession of the farmer's land. Large landowners were not required to pay taxes, so the amount of the land that was left for the government to tax decreased. With less money coming in, the government pressed harder to collect money from the small farmers. As a result, the gap between rich and poor increased greatly. Some of the legacy left by China was the Silk Roads brought culture and economic changes to China. Chinese philosophies such as Confucianism and Daoism had a lasting influence on East Asia. During Han times, China made many advances in technology, agriculture, and trade. One way that ancient China connects with another topic we studied was with the Mongol Empire. The construction of the Great Wall was to keep the Mongols from entering China and being able to conquer it. The Great Wall was a major construction project and a large icon of China. And now to ancient Greece. The thinkers of the classical Greek era are what set apart Greece from any other civilization. The Greeks have dominated thought for thousands of years and have remained relevant to our day. The teachings of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, among others, have been used as reference points of countless Western thinkers in the last 2,000 years. Hippocrates became the father of modern medicine, and the Hippocratic Oath is still used today. Sparta and Athens constantly fought, which led to their downfall to Alexander the Great in Mesopotamia. Much like Rome, the Greeks' downfall was due to their own demise. They fought themselves, which weakened them. City-states came together to defeat the Africans to the north of Rome. The ancient Greeks were the first to encourage thinking and learning. And now to ancient Rome. Ancient Rome was one of the most successful civilizations during its time. From the early stages, Rome was a republic made up of the patricians, who were the rich, and the plebeians, who were the poor. It created a government that took all the best features of other forms of government and combined them into its own, which created a very balanced government. Also, Rome valued a strong military, which allowed them to conquer the surrounding land and in return gain power, allies, and many ideas. Ancient Rome is well known for their advancements in technology. The Romans took the roads running along the coast of Italy. Agriculture designs such as the use of brick arcs, which allowed aqueducts to run water throughout the cities, and an advanced sewer system for this time. Although these are just a few advancements, they are all very important in understanding great power. Understanding great power and expansion comes great responsibility. From the changing to a Roman Empire, Rome's emperor's power got out of control and they started making irrational decisions. This is what primarily caused the decline of ancient Rome. And now to Islam. Islam, like Christianity and Judaism, grew up on the east coast of the Mediterranean. But unlike Christianity and Judaism, it's not terribly well understood in the West. The story of Islam begins in 7th century CE when Gabriel, the angel, came down to visit Muhammad. He told Muhammad to begin reciting the word of the God. And so he became the prophet. Muslims believe in the worship of and the submission to one single God. Muslims study their God's word from the Quran, which is seen as written by God himself. The Quran is really broad, but it returns again and again in many themes. For Muslims, the 5 pillars of Islam, faith, prayer, charity, fasting, and pilgrimage to Mecca, are considered necessary if you are Muslim. So the Islamic laws are very strict. And now to Mesoamerica. The Incas' greatest achievement was their agriculture. Terrace was their farming technique. This is where they cut into the mountain, creating huge steps. They were flat so that the Incas could farm on them. The Aztecs had their achievements in medicine. They would use many herbal remedies to prevent and cure the different illnesses. They had cures for all types of things, one being the common fever. The Mayans' achievements was astronomy. It was one of the greatest. They knew how many days were in a year and know the fall and spring equinox. The Mayans built their city around the pyramid of Kukulcan. This is where they demonstrated their knowledge of astronomy. They built 365 steps that led up to the pyramid of Kukulcan, one step for each day of the year. One major struggle of Mesoamerica was being able to sustain an empire. Mesoamerica suffered from rapid decline of population, turmoil, and stopping of major building projects. Overpopulation and overfarming land may have been a factor. Wars between different civilizations weakened the empires. Also, new deadly diseases brought by the conquistadors left the civilizations weak and helpless to being considered. Mesoamerica left behind monuments that are considered great models for cities and empires. Also, the natives in Mesoamerica helped advance many things in science, agriculture, and culture. The Mesoamerican civilizations had considerable amounts of silver and gold. When the Spanish acquired this, silver and gold, it was traded. Eventually, this silver made its way to the Chinese economy. As more silver entered the economy, the Ming government changed its policy and required taxes to be paid in silver. This meant that almost everyone in China had to produce something that could be sold for silver, which usually meant silk. Hi there, just got back from the Indian Ocean trade. The Indian Ocean Trade Network was essentially the Silk Road of the ocean. Although it was not as popular as the Silk Road due to the lack of technology and knowledge of the geography at the time, it still allowed the trade of ideas, clothes, foods, spices, ivory, languages, and slaves to be traded from one country to another. Once technology such as latrines were built and knowledge about the monsoons, it allowed travel to be much safer and quicker. In return, this allowed many different port cities from countries all along the Indian Ocean to unite and help each other out. Next, to the Mongols. The Mongols had a very skilled and successful army, which is the main reason that the Mongols were able to conquer so successful and build the biggest empire in the world. The biggest struggle for the Mongols was that there was a struggle for power, and the empire eventually split into 4 smaller empires after the death of Kublai Khan. The Mongols are remembered as the nomadic warriors who overran the world beyond their steppe grasslands under the power of their leader Genghis Khan. The Mongols connected Europe and Asia through the Silk Road. This episode of Crash Course History was recorded in the back room of Mr. Peterson's classroom. Special thanks to directors Zach Von Ruden and Jordan Kennedy, the editor and filmer Danny Glampy, and my special guest stars Quinn Byfon and Nicole Schiller. Thanks for watching and have a nice life.